Here we are on the spot where Daniel Morcomb was taken. Daniel Morcomb's disappearance hit me very hard, and personally, my own son Dylan had been kidnapped when he was 7. So when this happened to Daniel, it brought back all those feelings. With the help of some friends and my own abilities, we were able to find my son Dylan, but the sense of foreboding hit me right from the start when I heard about the Daniel Morcomb situation. There's a very distinct feeling when somebody is dead and when somebody is still alive. The feeling with Daniel was that right from the start he was not alive. I had been able to tell the relatives and the friends of Nigel Brennan, the kidnapped journalist in Somalia, that the feeling behind him was that he certainly was not in the spirit realm and he was still alive. Poor Daniel right from the start was. When I did the segment on the Channel 7 show, The One, a lot of extra information came through when we were doing the segment on the little boy lost, and it kept throwing me back to the situation with Daniel. I actually faxed that through to the police. One of the frustrating things for me was that the information I did get to the police has been slowly released to the media, but under other people's names. When I sent the information through, there were maps and drawings of the situation, possibly where Daniel was taken. Always from the start, I said that his body was no more than 5 kilometres from where he was taken. The information that came through showed a young couple, a male and a female, had taken him. One of the dreams that I received showed that there was a young man in the car. He was working locally. He was arguing with the woman who was a local about having children. They knew Daniel. They picked Daniel up in the car. There was no malice and ill feeling towards him. They were going to drive Daniel home as he'd missed the bus, and he was very upset. However, what I saw in that dream and also saw in subsequent communication with Daniel was that the couple were arguing over actually having children themselves. The woman did not feel the man was stable enough to have children with. Daniel made a sarcastic comment from the back seat. The man turned around without really looking and punched Daniel in the chest. Daniel's sternum cracked and he found it very difficult to breathe and died very quickly. There was no suffering involved, which at least should give his family some hope. The couple panicked after that. The couple then shifted the body. They took the body of Daniel. They took him a while to realise that Daniel was actually dead and had not just simply been knocked unconscious on the back seat. They took him back to their house. They had a house that was raised on stumps at the front. It had a raised veranda, and they simply put Daniel's body under the veranda, not knowing what else to do with it. When the body started to decompose and it was obvious that they had to do something else with it, they then shifted the body to a watery area. The woman at that stage was getting very anxious about this. She felt it was wrong. She felt that she needed to tell the family what was going on. The couple had separated under the stress of this. Knowing that she was about to come forward and give some information to the police, the gentleman actually shifted the body from the watery place. And then I believe from the information that I've seen that Daniel and Spirit has given me, he was taken not far away and buried at night where there were goats. It was either a goat farm or a goat enclosure. There is an older gentleman that was associated with the goats. And the one thing that every time I come to Nambour and people approach me for readings, every person asks me, are their children safe? Your children are safe here. This is something that happened with a gentleman who was angry and who no longer lives in the area. This young gentleman did have a prison record, or he has had records of incidences of violence with the police, but he has panicked and he's left the area. After he buried the body where the goats were, he's left the area. So, and it wasn't to do with an attack on a child, it was just an act of anger, a sarcastic comment to the kangaroo size. When Daniel has come through in mediumship work that I've done, Daniel says that, when I ask him where he is, he said, the goats are eating my hair, the goats are nibbling my hair. So in other words, he's buried in a very shallow situation, very close to where the goats are. What I'd like to do is just bring Daniel through very quickly there is unfinished business. There are things he wants to say to his family, and every time he's come through in the past, he has wanted to say this stuff. So I'm just going to bring him through very quickly. It's not going to happen like on Ghost Whisperer. All he does is he gives me emotion, and he will give me images and sensations, and then I have to try and put that into words. So just let me focus in on Daniel for a minute. Okay, every time I get Daniel coming through, there is an initial feeling of panic. Daniel is a child that lived on adrenaline. He was an active child. He was a reactive person. He didn't cope well with hypocrisy, and he reacted to that. He was a very intelligent person, and he would react to that. His best defense was always his tongue. So for him, there are regrets about things that he said. There is a feeling at the end there of panic for him, but the panic and the pain is in the chest, and he can't breathe, but the pain gives way to just sleep. So he just wants to communicate that it just felt like going to sleep. There's been some terrible things said in the media about Daniel suffering and being tortured and stuff like that. That did not happen. As far as what he's telling me is, it was all quick and it wasn't malicious. It was an act of anger. Daniel didn't like anger, and one thing that he's expressed to me several times in the past is he doesn't like alcohol. People around him during his life that drank alcohol, he didn't like the personality change that took place, and he really wants to communicate that he really wants those people to stop drinking.